9-year wait.
Oh, that's me. Good to see you. I forgot I had it.
Welcome to our July Transit Riders Council meeting. May we have an approval of today's agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, how about the minutes? Everyone see them?
Yes.
Yes, make a motion to approve.
Second. Second.
What is that, an automated statement?
Yes, because I'm trying to speed up for you.
So no matter what we ask you, you'll say make a motion to approve?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm trying to make a...
All right, I will start my report. So, quite a few more stations are going to be made accessible. We're doing this at a rate that we've never done before. It's really wonderful. Neptune Avenue on the F, 18th Avenue on the D, Jefferson Street on the L, Nostrand on the A and C, Fort Hamilton Parkway on the D, Myrtle Avenue, JMZ. That whole complex, that's going to be quite something. That's going to be quite a job. And as you heard, Borough Hall on the 2, 3, 4, 5 is now complete, and they restored a lot of the original wonderful graphics that were on the wall, which I was hoping they would maintain, but they've actually fixed up and made look wonderful. So that's great news. In addition, 179th Street on the F has been improved, and that's still going on. And of course, you've all heard about Locust Manor on the Long Island Railroad being made accessible, being upgraded, and all of that, which is great. I remember a meeting at that station many years ago. A lot of people from the neighborhood showed up and were asking, when are we going to get better service, and when is the station going to be fixed up? And they now have something to celebrate, which is great. ACE cameras are coming to the Q10, Q80, and M7. And that's going to be very interesting because the M7 in Manhattan uses an awful lot of truck routes, Columbus Avenue, Amsterdam Avenue, and in Midtown as well. So how they're going to keep that going and keep issuing all the tickets from those cameras, because there's going to be tons of them. I know that's coming. You've heard that R211s have come to the D train. There are now 3 train sets on the D line with more to come. I of course, and the chairman, Dano, looked at me and said, I know some people, I won't look to the left. Actually, Demetrius said, I won't look to my left because he knows I love the conversation style seating. But obviously, the R211s have a really terrific MDBF compared to the R68s or the 68As. But even the 68s and 68As are better than the 46s, so I totally understand getting rid of the 46s. There's no question about that. And the F and the M swap has actually saved a lot of people time. Clearing that up in the 36th Street area, between 36th Street and Queens Plaza, has saved, and Roosevelt Island is getting additional service because everything is running on schedule, and additional M trains were added to make up for the loss of the F line. So Roosevelt Island's getting better service than it's gotten in a long time. Did you have a question?
I just don't understand what they did because...
Yeah, well, a long time ago, as many of us remember, the E and the F together were always in the 53rd Street tunnel. Then they moved it, for a while, to the 63rd Street tunnel to serve Roosevelt Island and, 63rd and Lex combo and all of that. And when they switched from one track to the other between 36th Street and Queens Plaza, they were crossing over each other. The F was crossing over E's and M's and R's and it was a real pain.
Okay, but for a rider, the M and the F change routes in part of the day?
They changed routes for a part of their route.
Me too. And I got totally...
Weekdays, they changed routes. On weekends, the F is still back in the 63rd Street tunnel.
And at night, they change back.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they don't tell you they're changing. They just do it.
They don't tell you the hour, and
No.
they don't tell you that they do it.
No, they don't.
I've seen the destination signs on many of those. Maybe it was just one fleet of trains, but it said via Roosevelt Island, which told you that was the 63rd Street tunnel.
They don't always have that on
all
of the trains.
No, they don't.
They don't have the destinations on all of that. If it's just
Maybe.
And they should say what hours. It's from 4 to 10
or this train is not
Well, that's
stopping
why-
at this train is going to Roosevelt. Yeah.
That's
I was
why
like,
I'm
why am I at
pushing-
Queensbridge?
That's why I'm pushing for real-time maps. and real-time announcements.
Real-time announcements.
Really,
Good.
that would really be good, because that's what people want to know, what's running when they're going,
Yeah.
not later on or the following weekend or, but anyway, the F&M swap is successful. The 1, 2, 3 weekend work is ongoing, those switches, the lights are unbelievable down around Chambers Street and between Christopher and Chambers down there where they're doing a lot of this switch replacement work, which is why on weekends, the one doesn't go south of 14th Street. This is for the next 4 weekends now. They've done 1 weekend already. It was going to be 5 weekends. The 2 doesn't go south of Penn Station. The 2 is actually originating in Dyer Avenue instead of White Plains Road, 241. The 3 is totally shut down, so there is no service to 148th and Lenox or 145 and Lenox unless you ride a bus. So those are big issues. And in Brooklyn, obviously, it's the 4s and the 5s that are doing what the 2s and the 3s did. Speaking of, yeah.
There were signs in Bowling Green that said that trains were not going to Brooklyn, from that station over the weekend. And then how are people supposed to get to Brooklyn from that station, or get to Brooklyn from Lower
I
Manhattan?
don't believe that's the same issue that's happening for the next 4 weekends. That was because of other work, but
But at the same time.
they want you to go on the R, they want you to go on the D, you know.
The R here is not accessible. You'd have to go somewhere
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
There's no D right here.
No, there isn't.
No,
But
you
you're
have to
talking
go to
about from
14th.
here, in other words.
Yeah, if you're trying to go from Bowling Green, this is where a lot of tourists go.
Yeah.
So how do you get where you're trying to go if there's no train?
I don't believe that 4s not going to Brooklyn are going to be every one of these weekends, so I believe those will be back. The 5 normally ends at Bowling Green, but on certain weekends, they'll run both of those to Brooklyn if the 2 and the 3 can't go.
I think they should make better signage.
Oh, for sure.
If I'm confused and, you know, I might know a thing or two, for people who don't, yeah.
Can I just add something?
That's my line, and over the weekend, I was happy to find out, when I got on the 5 uptown, that it was gonna be, it just said it was gonna be making local stops once it got to Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's my.
And that helped me a lot. I didn't have to,
That
I
was
was
to
worried
make up for the loss
that there
of
was
the
no
2
2 and 3, and that's where I wanted to
Yep.
get off. And I was like, oh, this is gonna save me 1 transfer.
That was a good thing that they did that.
Yeah, I saw the sign.
Yeah.
We were worried that we were not gonna get home.
What station did you see the sign in?
In 90 somewhere, way uptown.
Okay, 96?
Probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Andrew, I'm sorry to interrupt, but asking what Lisa is correct, because if you're gonna shut up the 4 and 5, that means everyone's gonna have to transfer at Fulton Street to get on the A, the C, and it's gonna be more dangerous, crowded, because, as Lisa is correct, the R is not accessible. The next accessible station in Manhattan is Cortlandt Street, and that's not gonna be helpful, because if the 1 is out, the 4 and 5 goes out, you're gonna overload the alphabet line very high.
Well, the problem with your explanation right there
Yeah.
is that on these weekends, you
Yeah.
can't get to Fulton Street on the 2 or the 3.
You got the 4 and the 5.
Yes, you'd have to be on the east side to get Fulton Street, or the J, or one of those things, so. But anyway, moving on, the Q line, interestingly, was announced in Manhattan at least, and hopefully it will be eventually the entire line, is going to get CBTC. They figured while they're doing the work to extend it to 125th Street and possibly west on 125th Street, they're doing all of this work, they have all of this equipment in there, they might as well add CBTC to the Q line. So that's something that will be great. I hope it's not just for the new section, but it will continue south below 96th. But as I have frequently said on the F, you know, Queens Boulevard East is CBTC equipped, Queens Boulevard West is, and Culver is, but 6th Avenue is not yet. So they catch up with each other, and then the advantages of CBTC are lost. So we need to make the whole line, and that's going to happen, hopefully, on the Q, but at least partially will. I don't know if everyone's heard this, but they finalized the last piece of the Park Avenue viaduct for Metro North. This was an amazing job. If you've ridden Metro North and seen the work going on from the track level, the way they did this, the way the crew was up there, not getting hurt, and the fact that service was maintained while they did all this work is really amazing. That will really, I mean, 98% of Metro North trains go through that viaduct. Obviously, Penn Access, when that finally opens, will not. That will use the Hellgate route. But this was amazing to see the men working and women working up there and working safely, and these wonderful, huge gantries they erected there, and it was really an amazing job. So really congrats on that. The MTA is going to buy fewer electric buses. They have become not reliable. That's pretty obvious. So they're going to substitute with diesel electric hybrids. And you may have heard that we need to get a lot of buses, and most of those manufacturers are overseas, and we have a Buy America provision, so that could put the MTA at a disadvantage. So we're hoping some of these, with enough orders, some of these companies will open a U.S. plant so that we can buy the buses we need and get the technology we need, because currently our buses are not in great shape. But getting rid of these electric buses, which are failing, and substituting them with diesel electrics, I think is a great move. And the mechanical breakdowns on those electric buses were just ridiculous. So the customers count survey, the most popular lines, and we might have somebody from that survey team come to the next PCAC meeting. We've been talking about that. But the most popular lines are the 7, the G, the L, and the Q. Obvious that the L and the 7 are the two that started out. They're the two discrete lines, and they have CBTC, so their service is really better, more frequent. That's why those are so popular. The G, they've updated it to R211s frequently, and they're doing a lot of work on the G line, and there is cellular service along the G line, so a lot of people are happy with that. And the Q line, it's running really well, and the cars are still being upgraded, but I love the R68s and 68As, but that's great. The most least popular lines were the 5, the D, and the W. The W doesn't run on weekends, so I don't know why that was put in, but those are the least popular lines, at least in this survey. And, I'm sure it'll be different depending on whenever the survey is done and whatever has happened on a line at any given time, but the MTA budget is balanced for 2026, but by 2030, there are some serious deficits looming. They're sizable by then, and the fact that the July plan was unveiled, and I just gave Jess the paperwork so you can see where we are on everything, and you'll be sending that out to people, right? The July financial thing that you scanned from.
I did scan it.
Okay, so you'll be getting copies of this. You'll see what's happening and where the deficits are predicted to be. A lot of it is the cost of health service and other things. So the reason this is being highlighted now is so that state officials and city officials will remember this and help the MTA out when time is needed. Hopefully by then the feds will have a different person in charge, and we will get some more federal help, because there is looming serious cuts in the Build America plan, which would cut federal support for all transit systems and Amtrak, which is just ludicrous. As we all know, these are the economic engines that move our cities and our regions. The MTA is the economic engine of the state, and the state is the economic engine of the country. So the fact that the current federal DOT doesn't realize this is really scary, and I hope Congress will not let this pass. But we will need some assistance from feds, state, and city when we get closer to 2029 and 2030. So it's good that the message is getting out now. Now, here's one of the controversial things. This is good for the most part. There are two places where trains are getting clogged up, and the MTA is going to work, and it started work to seriously fix these clogs. One of them is the junction at DeKalb Avenue, where the D, the N, the Q, and the B on weekdays. The R is in a separate place so it isn't really causing part of this. But the crossover between on the side of the bridge and everything is causing problems at DeKalb, and they are working on that. That might require some changes in service. But the one that got me was the Nostrand Junction one, and I understand there is a problem. It's been there for years. Whereas, because both the Nostrand Avenue line and the New Lots line both get Lexington and 7th Avenue service, that is likely to not continue. They're doing work on the switch at Nostrand Junction, but because the Lexington trains are on the express tracks at Franklin Avenue, Medgar Evers, and if they're going to Flatbush, they have to cross over and tie up, the 2 and the 3. That can't continue in its present form without the delays continuing. So it is likely that the 2 and the 3 will both go to Flatbush Avenue, and the 4 and the 5 will go to Utica and New Lots Avenue when this is all done. So while you will not have the choice of both a 7th Avenue and a Lexington Avenue train, your train will get through much more quickly and more predictably, and you can switch at Franklin Avenue or Nevin Street or Atlantic or somewhere and get on the train you need. Yes?
I think we're about to be joined by somebody who hasn't been here for a while, so we should probably, by we, I mean you, explain the rules of that the meeting have changed the last time they participated. Well, because we have the public participation after the members, and that we follow a different process that way.
Okay.
Okay.
We can do that.
Okay.
Hi, Charlton. Welcome. Just so you know, since you've been here last, the rules of our meetings have changed, and we will take public comment after the members have all had a chance to comment. So just be aware of that, and thanks for joining us. Okay, that's basically my report. I hope to get more updates on this change at Nostrand Junction, but I was told that I'm pretty much right about not getting both a Lexington and 7th Avenue train at both ends like we currently have. It will speed up service, but you won't have the same choice without a transfer. Yes?
I have a few things. One, how have the fare gates been?
Yeah, we got a fairly recent update on that. They have cut fare evasion significantly where they are engaged. We have also noticed that in stations where there is only one fare gate and not at all of the entrances to that station, people have walked to the other one and beat the fare there. They are going in another 20 stations soon. All 3 manufacturers have pretty much stopped the fare evasion in the same quantity. They've done it in slightly different ways, but we had a discussion of that in a recent.
Yeah, I remember. I was just curious since then if there was a.
And the next batch of stations is not going to get just one entrance, but will get all their entrances equipped.
The reason I asked, because I saw something recently in California with the fare gates, and I don't know if you saw this woman tried to go through, crawl underneath, and she got stuck.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
And so I was just curious if that was a
Good.
thing.
Did you, by any chance, learn the name of the manufacturer of the gate?
No, but I think it's the Bay Area. I can go back and look at it again, and I can
Was
find
it BART?
Yeah, I think it's BART.
BART is under serious financial stress right now, which is amazing considering California is a blue state. But BART is facing some real serious service issues, so I hope they get bailed
That's
out
why.
because they carry a lot of people.
Yeah. Second thing I wanted to mention is that, I noticed lately on the news, they've been talking about OmniCard issues.
Yeah.
And, people are saying that they don't know when the free part is working, the unlimited part, and then I also heard that they have cut back on the contractors, I don't think it's involvement, but I guess.
They dialed back, they dialed back the cubic involvement, is what they said yesterday.
So,
Yeah.
anything?
I know that coming will be how many rides till your free ride, or, when you tap, it'll show you how many, what your values are, and that's coming, but I don't think that's coming within a year, oddly enough.
Wow.
Yeah, I think a cubic is gonna take longer than everybody wants. I'm gonna find out more next week, but,
Can I provide some input? So there was,
Yeah.
there were a few people who spoke about that at the board meeting yesterday. And then there were a number of questions at the Q&A afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's clearly a touchy subject with,
Yeah.
with the chair,
No pun
who
intended.
promised that he would make, you should never pay attention to social media, and that they
Yeah.
should, people should personally come to him if they got a summons, and that he would make everything right.
Okay.
But, you know, there was somebody who came and testified about, specific issues that she was having, and that's probably who you saw, a nicely dressed woman who walks up a giant hill in the Bronx, right?
Yeah, one of the people, yeah.
Right, and, so some of the issues that are continuing to occur that real people are talking about, are, issues about not just not being able to see if you've transferred, but did you actually get a free transfer?
Exactly.
yeah.
And what is your balance? And if you didn't get a free transfer, the woman was talking, on a couple of different channels about how, and it's not just this woman, we've heard from people as well, that that you can use if you have a balance on it by a number of different times. You know, but by much sooner than you should be getting a fair cap. Question was asked, how much time between taps before, is a transfer valid
Oh,
and-
okay.
before it counts as the next ride?
You have to wait 15 minutes,
And,
yeah.
Yeah.
but if it's a transfer and you ride in 15, 20 minutes, an hour, does it count as a transfer? And then if you transfer after that, does it count as another ride?
Yeah.
And, you know, all these kinds of questions that are very difficult unless you have an account.
Yeah.
And if you have an account, then you can see what it is, much more easily. Not everybody has an account, wants an account, or is going to get an account. Another, something I read, which again, grain of salt, is that if you tap with a different device, it isn't always tied to the same card.
Right.
However, if it's the same card or the same account, then it counts the same way. Doesn't matter, Michael's shaking his head no. But so different people have different experiences.
Yeah.
And you can take your card and go to an Omni vending machine and tap, and it will show you the value on your card. That they all
That
do.
is one option.
That is an option if you're curious, but
I mean, you know, the best way,
On a credit card.
right,
your Omni
right.
card, yes.
The best way to keep the best records are to make an account. But again, not everybody is
Yeah.
going to do that, should have to do that, or wants to do
And
that.
it's not real time unless you can look at your phone.
Exactly.
right?
And then that's another point to that is about the Eagle team. If you are tapping and your fare or your payment doesn't show up until 2:00 in the morning, it doesn't help you if you're traveling at 2 in the afternoon.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
there have been some real people who've had that experience.
That's why.
And it is
I did.
you know, sometimes, yeah, I mean, no, sometimes if you pay for something with your credit card and you tap, or forget the transit system, it'll show up the next day,
Yeah.
right? So that is just the way that those systems are built.
Yeah, but with the
But-
actual Omni card, it should be immediate.
Sometimes
But you
Yeah,
don't
and-
always pay with your Omni card.
Right.
You could pay with your any card.
Yeah.
That's the problem, I
Yeah.
think, that I noticed, that if the person is not paying with the same device and the same card in their wallet, they won't get their transfer. And it ducks from
Well,
their
it always
account.
has to be the same
It has to be,
card.
I don't think the public, understands that
We'll
well
pay
enough.
attention.
Right, so there,
That it has to be the same device and the same wallet.
there
card.
there needs to
That's what's
be,
happening, they're getting charged.
there needs to be, one of the requests was for a better communication.
Yeah.
A better communication plan,
Yeah.
more public outreach on the wallet, on the, what it takes to get a transfer and what it means.
Hi, this is Trudy breaking in because I had brought this up, when I was still able to attend meetings, and I've been watching it. I mean, one of the only positive thing is watching all the transit reports on New York One, which gives all the information that you've just given out now, is given out by Samantha, the wonderful transit reporter on New York One. But why I asked this question, I think when I was still able to come to the meetings, which is why we've had so much, the MTA has had so much trouble with Cubic in the past. Why was Cubic chosen to run this whole program? Did we ever find out? I think I had asked this question a number of times, because Cubic has just been disastrous, and now they're having trouble with accounting. But, well, I won't go through what's been reported on the news. You covered some of it today.
Brian has a response.
I mean, they've been a vendor with the MTA for many, many decades.
Yeah, but they've been a disaster for many, many decades. I mean, and they keep on being chosen again and again. I'm just asking if we could ask the question why Cubic, with all the problems that the MTA has had with Cubic over the years.
So that was also raised yesterday, at the.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it up here.
Judy, at the Q&A, but not everybody else is as attuned as you may be. So the response was that the MTA has some concerns, shares concerns, and is, as Karen said, making some changes to the contract. I think, and they've made some change orders in the past that have been brought to the board to reduce the amount of funding that's going there. There are, from what I understand, Cubic's an international firm, and they have a lot of contracts everywhere. But if you can get your balance in, where was it, Washington? You should be able to get it in New York.
Yeah, but just because they have contracts all over the place, we've had so much trouble over the years with Cubic. I am asking why Cubic was chosen for Omni and for the cards. Did we ever, if I recall, we were going to send a letter or we were going to make inquiries, and I'm wondering if we ever got an answer to the question that I'm bringing up again and again, whether I'm live or whether I'm, online or telephone, whatever it is, And if we haven't asked that question, could we please?
One of the few companies that can do this massive system, and they're also one of the manufacturers of the new fare gate, so they have a lot of connection to the MTA.
They have connections. That's one of the things. I'm saying, could we go on record and, put in writing why, with all the problems with Cubic, they still are the main vendor, or have we asked this question?
We have not asked this.
We did report a year ago. I think that is, there have been considerable improvements, but it's not fixed. So the problem about the contract is, I think that we don't have enough information and we're not professionals in that area, that we would even be able to, if they handed us the contract, we wouldn't be able to look at it and review it with enough expertise to really understand how they versus any of the competitors in the RFP were able to be chosen over the other.
No, not for us to know, but what did we ask the question why the MTA chose Cubic over the others? Not us. We don't have the expertise. Okay, I'm going to get off again. But I've brought this up, I don't know at how many meetings, because I know, going way back, all the problems with Cubic, and yet they keep on being chosen to run these massive programs.
Sharon, you had something?
Well, it's semi-related, and that's our particular passes. Every day I'm told that it's expired, the booth people say you can't have a MetroCard anymore, they're expired. And I wondered if we're aware of what progress is being made on switching us to whatever.
But they're not extinct.
No, they're not, if you can find a place to slide them. And when you can't, they don't let you in. And.
You're still using a MetroCard?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Us too.
Yeah.
I mean, does anybody not have?
Yeah, well, the one that we have for the meeting, when you go to certain stations, there's usually one booth that you can, one turnstile you can go to.
Usually, but not always.
Depending on the station, like Broadway and Junction, you come all the way downstairs and they're telling you have to go another block. I'm like, I'm not going another block. So
Broadway
they
Junction only
give
has
you a
one entrance.
courtesy, but lately, it's not working again. It's the second time, and so I'm on strike. I'm not using it. Because, yeah, that means I have to go to Brooklyn again. It's just,
I just wonder what progress is being made on.
Well, you just got yours, like a month ago.
Yeah,
you have the Omni?
but that was for a board member.
A
That,
month ago.
a month ago,
There-
we just got
There
ours.
are still issues with staff who are supposed to be able to use the Omni
Yeah.
card
Yeah.
to swipe into the building, and they put that on hold. So there are still some issues. Not everybody in transit, is my understanding, has full access
A
yet
lot of
either.
issues with Omni cards with the one passes. They have not told us when the
Yeah.
members are getting.
They said we're at the end of the line. They said that also the retirees,
Yep.
there's like a whole list of people.
That's what I was told.
And even.
We'll ask again. We'll ask again.
Yeah, because
Andrew can ask again.
I can ask again, but I know that the expiration of MetroCards is approaching. That's for sure. And
They only have Metro.
I even spoke to the head of buses, Frank Farrell, about the machines at bus stops, you know, when they're gonna be down. He says as soon as the MetroCard is officially gone, we're gonna take those machines down, so, because they are blocking, sidewalk space in many locations, and they're not in use anymore.
Keep going.
But it's a good thing.
We will see.
One driver accused me of my card not being real. He's like, it says temporary. I'm like, yes, it's temporary because you know, eventually. It's just crazy.
Nothing new.
I had a,
Andrew, I do have a question.
Mike, 1 second.
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Regarding now going from Omni now to accessibility, you know, at the committees, we're also pleased to see the G line's getting additional, more accessible stations.
Mhm.
You know, and as I saw at the MTA Capitol, and I think everyone should really look at the MTA Capitol video, because when Jamie Torres mentions Disability Pride Month.
Laura Springer.
Thank you.
Sorry, Springer.
Thank you. I see you got a second emotion.
Mhm.
I like that. But at least, you know, as we're saying, is he's mentioning about things are moving forward, as you said, Andrew. But now we're adding more stations, and he's not just saying elevators. He's also mentioning like 86 and Lex. They're fixing the track to make sure the platform is even. And that's all we need to hear, because we want to get on a train, not lift our feet up or lift our walker or motorized wheelchair or stroller up. We want to be even to get on the train, even to get off safely.
And the lawsuit settlement.
I was just gonna say that, thank you, Lisa, second my motion. I love, we're on the roll today. And since yesterday with Kalia and I and Michael Ring was with us, we were at the settlement, I have to say, it was a great moment. I did get the pictures, that's why I was asking Carl if she wanted the pictures, or Lisa, if you want the
We
pictures.
have access to them.
Okay,
Thank you.
I was just asking, because, you know, I'm just a good thing, but I have to say, it is a great year of part of the Disability Pride Month that we got things accomplished. And we're still gonna have to continue advocating moving forward, period.
Michael.
my question was about the 20 stations that are gonna be new prototypes. They're continuing to get paid for by the manufacturers. Or the MTA,
I think they are.
if they are,
Prototypes of what? It's not-
the new.
The new
turn-
fare
the
gate.
Fare gate.
Oh, the fare gate.
That is fully paid for by the. I think it would be helpful for public relations if there'd be a sign that says that, so that social media and stop screaming that the MTA is wasting money because they're not perfect.
I can ask them to do that.
It would be, you could stop wasting your time telling people over and over again that they're testing it and they're free.
Yeah.
Karen, and then I wanna
Okay.
answer Charlton's question after you.
I saw something recently about Korea and their platform gates, and they said that they've had 0, deaths related to people falling onto the platform tracks, since they put those up.
In Korea?
Yeah.
platform screen doors, yeah, like the air train has.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. You want to respond to Charlton's?
Charlton's asking if there will be another draft plan for the Brooklyn bus redesign. I think that we can ask our guests, because I believe that there will be. Yeah, they're not here yet, Charlton. So when they, but that's what I was gonna say. So would I. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're ready for your report, Lisa.
Terrific. So I was going to, actually piggyback onto a couple of things that you, brought up.
Okay.
One was about Omni. I was gonna raise that as an issue, so thank you for bringing that up. Another was about, some of the budgetary issues that were in the July plan. So, some of the costs that are outside of the MTA's control. Well, first of all, the MTA is making a commitment to improve its efficiencies within the operating agencies, as it is committed to do over the last number of years, and it's done in the hundreds of millions of dollars there, and that is good without cutting service or workforce. They are one of the big dollar signs that really stood out was the cost of accessoride and the contract with the city, and the fact that that is continuing to rise, with the need for a reorganization of that contract, so that there is a change in the dynamic of who pays for what. It's $135 million. $135 million, which is, and rising, which is, it was a little complicated for me about whether it's 50%, and that's a contract now, the city pays 50%, the city now pays 80%, but the contract is expiring, so then it goes back to 50%, and the MTN and the city will just say, no, we're paying 50%, so the MTA will have to pay to make up the difference. It's the cost of a set contract, not the actual cost of service. So that we think is an area that we can become engaged in because of the terrifically amazing work that this group has done with working with the city on fair fares and with the council and the mayor's office. So that we're going to speak to the MTA about ways that we can get engaged, and we'll let you know, because we know that there are a number of you who are particularly interested in that. Will be very helpful in that arena. Andrew mentioned some of the federal issues, and they're worse than they could possibly be. The reauthorization is scheduled for the fall. We're hopeful that it won't happen until next year, and that a lot of things can change between the fall and the beginning of the new year. The federal proposal is to essentially cut transit out of the Highway Trust Fund and say, well, since they don't contribute, they shouldn't get any money. Meanwhile, it's 20%, and highways get to 80%, which really doesn't pay for much, but it does pay for something. There are standalone grants. The CIG grants, the Capital Investments Grant, pays for major capital projects. The feds have decided not to move forward with some outside of New York, largely, but significant projects for things like BRT and other big transit, and not just enhancement, but necessities in areas that do not have a lot of transit, do not have a lot of other resources, and would significantly benefit from these investments, not just for workforce, get workforce where they need to go, but for workforce to have jobs to build these projects. It's seems to be, and it doesn't just seem to be, it's been stated publicly by in other areas that some of the grants have been withheld by the federal government based on who voted for whom. And so when you said, well, San Francisco should get a lot of money because they're a blue state, well, that's exactly why they're not getting money at this point.
From the feds, yeah.
From the feds. So there is a lot of advocacy effort that's going to go into working collaboratively nationally on ensuring that some of these funding streams continue. APTA is the American Public Transport Association that spearheads a lot of this work, and we're going to be continuing to work with them to work with not just the legislators from New York who have heard this before, but those who depend on money that comes from New York as well. You know, there has been in the administration's priorities the promise to eliminate congestion pricing, and also to change the name of Penn Station, but that's we haven't heard officially what it would be changed to. So I'm just going to skip over that and say that Andrew, Randy, Jerry, and I attended the Penn Station Working Advisory Group meeting in the middle of July, which was a great presentation on all of the wonderful, wonderful things that can happen with the new Penn Station. Should anybody find the money? Should anybody figure out how to get all these groups to work together? And should there be, you know, a way to actually do all the things that are in this, 72-page, full-color printed with circles and arrows and, you know.
It's quite a presentation.
Yeah, it was great. It was very polished. There were some folks from the Federal Transit Administration there, and they've undertaken one study so far on capacity improvements for the platforms, which can be achieved through removing some of the columns which can be accomplished by removing the Hulu Theater, which was the theater at Madison Square Garden when I graduated from high school there. And the team from that designed Madison Square Garden is part of this, the winning architectural group, who can apparently help them figure out which are the appropriate beams that can move without everybody being pancaked, which is a good thing. So they think they can move 100 columns off of the platforms to make them for better egress and ingress, would not add track. There was question about removing the blocks to the south, and claiming those to eminent domain, and it got a little nasty and heated there. But in the end, if this plan goes through as written, the feds are going to do what the feds are going to do. And the neighborhood can just do, you know, they can just go scratch, basically. So, and I guess today, there are a series of public meetings around this and workshops that we will share with you if you all haven't heard. And apparently yesterday, Andy Byford said that it was going to be $6 billion, and they want the feds to pay for most of it. But that's, you know, but they don't know what it's going to be because they don't have a final drawing, and so there's a lot of questions. And answers are still being made up as they go along.
But Andy Byford is very clear that they will not harm beautifully renovated 33rd Street, Long Island Railroad Concourse. He said we'd like the whole station to look like this, actually.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Yes.
Question?
Yes.
Because I did attend as well, because as Amtrak, I do the Amtrak accessibility. I have to say, there was one thing they mentioned.
Was this last night?
No.
Last week, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, and this past Monday, when I did attend also.
Okay.
But thank you, Lisa. Lisa certainly reminded me of the other thing, too. Thank you. What I was trying to say is, they also mentioned the walkway between 6th to 7th
Oh, right,
Avenue.
the Gimbel's Passage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you let me say the best part. Ooh, it shocked me. I always had to open my ear and say, did he say that?
Yeah, well, we'll see if it actually happens.
But you know what I said to someone? I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
But you know what? At least everyone's going, huh? I'm like, guys, stop holding your breath in.
Yeah.
Because anything can change in a minute or a second or a year. All we have to do is, and I agree with what you're saying, Lisa, how to work with the community, because what everyone's saying, these questions, and I go, with one question was very inappropriate, was, oh, are we going to change the name? I'm like, Penn Station is Penn Station.
So I think that the perspective that the 3-4 of us brought was, how is this going to work for riders? Is it going to be through running? And you asked about the different kinds of technology, different kinds of train cars, the catenary versus the non-catenary.
Mm-hmm.
That will have the second part of the FTA study.
Yeah.
FRA. We'll look at that, and that will commence later this year, and that'll be an interesting look at next look, because no one's ever done it before. I'm rolling my eyes if everybody doesn't have a screen at through running.
No, you're right.
To see how that could work. Of course, then they'd have to look at things like work rules, unions, and other considerations like layovers and such. And I do want to let Brian and Kara give our guests are arriving. Brian and Kara, you guys want to jump in with some of the work that we're doing? And by we, I mean you guys.
Real quickly, it happened just after our last meeting, but with the city budget finishing, we got a really nice win on Fairfair's expansion this year. We didn't get everything we asked for, but we did get the largest expansion of the program since it was founded in 2019, raising the eligibility level from 150% of the federal poverty level to 200%, allowing for right around 340,000 New Yorkers to take part in the program that are now eligible. So we're very excited about that, very happy that the mayor and city council were able to get it done in a particularly tough budget year.
And you guys did a lot of work on that.
Yes,
so thank you.
And thank you to the members who came out and testified or supported our effort in other ways. It was very much appreciated. And we did hear from some of our friends in city government that keeping the drumbeat up during the course of the budget season made a difference in the end. So that felt very, very validating. We're going to continue working on it. Councilmember Hudson, who's chair of the General Welfare Committee, has a bill to implement automatic enrollment for the program. And for those of us who were at the hearing that HRA attended at the beginning of May, we heard a lot about how that there's some room for improvement on how laborious the application process is and how many people lose their benefits when they need to renew every year. Close to half of Fairfair's users have at least a 2-week break in their benefits, if not much longer, because of how difficult the renewal process is. So we are going to keep pushing for that bill to get over the finish line this fall, so that the application and renewal process can be simplified and streamlined and made easier for all those who are eligible for the program.
Observation. Share this with Andrew. That for someone who hasn't participated, it's really difficult to find information on the intranet, link you to the application page, and then, this was maybe a week ago, the criteria hadn't been updated to reflect the change.
Yeah, the rule process takes a few months, but it won't be done until
but it's just
late October.
Not very clear, and, eligible. You can find that, but you really have to dig to find that.
They don't make it easy.
No.
That's
So
for
that's
sure.
They never do.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So we're hopeful that we're planning to continue to be engaged in that process and hopeful that the council will move that bill forward in the coming months. But yeah, the actual rule change to get 200% usually takes sometime in the 3 to 6 months range, but we'll continue to watch that as well.
Last time they made a change, they they forgot to put the paperwork in, so it took an extra 3 months.
Sure.
On reports, we're still wrapping up the 2 reports that we mentioned in the past, first on signage and wayfinding. Again, if you have any last ideas or concepts that you think we should include to help improve signage and wayfinding around the system, we are all ears. We're also wrapping up the report on the Interborough Express and the many people around the city who will benefit from that. And then you may know that one of our most recent reports was suggested by TRC member Stewart based on a question that he asked a while ago. We're also thinking about next reports to work on, and if anyone has any concepts or ideas that you'd like us to work on, please do let us know.
You don't have to say it now.
Yes.
Email is better.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. And I'm going to just do this as a lead-in. We are absolutely thrilled with the focus on fast buses. There's such an opportunity for millions of people to get where they're going faster, places where there's no subway service or where subway service is not getting people east-west or north-south. And the city has made that a priority. I'm not going to give their presentation for them. But there's money in the budget, which is great. And there's cooperation and collaboration, which is even better, as good, also awesome. So the fact that this is an administration that's not just, that is doing, forget lip service, actually doing stuff, get buses moving, is really perfect. Oh, look, here's our bus people.
So it's really great to introduce our speakers for today. We have Nolan Levinson, who's Senior Director of Rapid Bus Programs for New York City DOT. We have Kate Contino, who you all know, Director of Government and Community Relations at MTA, and Carlos Castel-Croak, Director of Government Affairs for New York City DOT. And they will take us through all of the ins and outs of the new Rapid Bus Program. And I'm sure you'll have questions, so let's hear from our speakers. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. You should be able to share.
We cannot see it.
There we go.
Now we can.
Now I think it's coming.
Great. Well, yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you all, even if virtually. Thanks so much for having us. I will be, going through the presentation with Kate, overview of this very exciting plan. Certainly a new era for, thinking about bus planning. Kate and I have worked in this space for a very long time, as well as Carlos, so we're very excited to be here. We'll go over the presentation and then happy to listen to any feedback that you have. So just to kick things off, both the mayor and the governor are very clearly focused on improving life in New York City, making it livable, more affordable, and more equitable for every New Yorker. Faster and more reliable bus service really sits at the heart of that vision. For the millions of New Yorkers who depend on the bus every day, majority of who are people of color, women, and lower income residents, the bus is not a choice, it's a lifeline. Delivering on that promise is one of this administration's top priorities. Okay, so a little bit we'll cover what we've been working on the past few months, and then we'll go over the details of the plan. Of course, you're welcome to go online and read through all the details as well. And then lastly, we'll go over sort of next steps and opportunities for collaboration. All right, so starting with some of the context, and I'll pass it over to Kate.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So as this group is well aware, there's been a lot of focus in recent years on subway and rail expansion, service improvements, and this report seeks to apply that same level of care to our bus customers. We are joining forces with the city in a very public, extroverted way to show our commitment to delivering faster buses for all New Yorkers. We want to put that focus on the bus riders. And we know we do have some of the worst traffic and the slowest buses in the nation. As Nolan said, our bus customers tend to be a majority people of color, women, and lower income earners. And so this improved service would make the city more affordable with better access to jobs, education, and other services. So we're really excited to be, turning up the dial on our bus projects and outreach. Do you want me to take this one? Nolan, you're muted.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the vision for fast buses, better service, centers, bus riders, and speaks directly to them. As as Kate mentioned, this is a very we're really reigniting a partnership that we've had for a long time between the MTA and the city. It substantially raises the bar for bus speed and reliability improvements with publicly facing performance goals. And then lastly, and I think some of your folks were just talking about this, it proposes a vision to bring world-class bus rapid transit style improvements to 5 key corridors across Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. Okay, so now getting into the details of the plan. So the plan is organized according to 4 guiding principles. The first is fast, reliable buses. I'll talk a little bit about the fast side of things. We're proposing an aggressive program to speed up buses by at least 20% along 50 priority corridors. These 50 corridors are among the highest ridership routes in the city and where bus riders experience the most delay. This program will improve travel for over 1 million daily riders along more than 175 local and select bus service bus routes, which means we're improving more than 70% of those routes citywide and improving commutes for about half of all bus customers. I'll turn this over to Kate.
Right. So on the MTA side, through the work of prioritizing the corridors, we're committed to reducing the time a rider waits at the bus stop to less than 2 minutes beyond the scheduled wait time. This is our additional bus stop time metric, which some of you are familiar with, and it is reported on the MTA metrics dashboard at metrics.mta.info. Coming off the redesign, we're also going to the Queens redesign moved last year. We're in our year of observation. We're working to advance the Brooklyn bus network redesign, and that next report will be published by the end of the year. And then on the fleet side, our 2025 to 2019 capital program includes the purchase of 2,500 new buses to replace existing fleet. And then we'll also be working internally to modernize fleet maintenance and dispatching. And then with the complete transition to tap and ride, we will phase in the long-awaited transition to all-door boarding.
All right. So now taking a look at the priority corridors, we'll be focusing a lot of the work in the plan. As mentioned before, we identified 50 corridors around the city. They were prioritized based on locations with slow bus speeds and unreliable bus travel times, places with high ridership, as well as high volumes of buses. So places where bus priority treatments, bus lanes would make the greatest impact. So these corridors, they show general outlines of the locations on the map, and we have a full list again in our plan. but we will be developing context-specific treatments on each of these corridors in coordination with a wide array of stakeholders, whether it be elected officials, folks like you all, bus riders, community groups, etc. And as part of this effort, the city and MTA will utilize expanded outreach strategies, so finding more ways to make sure that we are prioritizing the needs of bus riders as we develop these projects, which will lead to more ambitious treatments on all of our corridor projects. Okay, so the second principle of the four is valued bus riders. All bus riders deserve a world-class entry into our bus system, which is why we're ensuring all bus stops are accessible while installing shelters, shade, seating, and real-time passenger information at every feasible bus stop. So again, this is really focusing on the whole experience, so not just the faster bus, but also the whole riding experience and ensuring that it is a viable and good option for anyone who wishes to take the service. Now I'll turn it over to Kate.
Right. So the next principle here is about making sure we're using our shared street space as intended and keeping clear the paths for buses that move through traffic. Sometimes the rules of the road aren't followed through, and when that happens, we have a package of enforcement strategies to help keep bus riders moving at intersections, bus lanes, bus stops, and in travel lanes. But this requires a lot of areas of government to get it done. So on our automated camera enforcement program, or ACE, where cameras are mounted to catch violations of double parking and block bus stops infrastructure, we'll continue to deploy additional routes with 50 more routes added over the course of 2026 and 2027. And there's much more information about the active ACE routes and what the program entails at mta.info/ACE. And then DOT will be expanding the stationary cameras across the city, which help enforce different, more at the intersection level and bottlenecks, which is also critically important to keeping buses and traffic moving. And then the last piece of the component here is NYPD traffic enforcement, where we're working in close collaboration to identify bottleneck intersections or hotspots of frequent violations or bus stop blocking, lane blocking. And NYPD is expanding daily enforcement with more traffic agents along 20 routes. And so the team has started doing the work to understand where the problem areas are. And we're going to be working in close collaboration with DOT and NYPD for a data-driven strategy to target those bottlenecks and keep our buses moving in that regard.
All right, the fourth guiding principle in the plan is what we're calling quality transit for all. So this is focusing on expanding access to rapid transit service throughout the city for 100,000 New Yorkers. As part of this plan, we'll be implementing one bus rapid transit style corridor on Flatbush Avenue by 2030, so that will be fully complete by that time. Construction on that is underway. And we'll be designing 4 more corridors around the city. These projects will include a lot of the features that we've seen around the world, the best practices for bus street design with fully separated bus lanes, intersection priority, stations with greenery and public space, as well as fast and frequent service. All right, then moving on to next steps. So we've gone over the details of the plan. The report was released on July 8th, a few weeks ago, the very exciting event. Today we are briefing you all. And this is ongoing, but also in the coming months, we will be advancing a wide array of projects, kicking off engagement processes on new projects, as well as evaluating the effectiveness of the treatments as we continue to roll them out. This slide gives an overview of the 2026 work program. So we have a number of corridors throughout the city where we are installing bus priority treatments, from corridors in Midtown Manhattan to Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, Fordham Road and Tremont Ave in the Bronx, Victory Boulevard in Staten Island, just to name a few. Also advancing capital projects throughout the city that are follow-ups to select bus service projects that we have implemented. And then we'll also be engaging on new projects, in particular on Central Brooklyn, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. The next slide. So a big focus for this year and into next year will be an initiative we're calling Fast Buses for Central Brooklyn. This is really a beginning of a multi-year engagement process, focusing on 3 critical corridors, although not just exclusively those corridors, but really figuring out how to get bus riders moving on Utica Avenue, Church Ave, and Flatbush Avenue, which combined carry over 150,000 daily riders across 13 bus routes. These corridors serve a really critical link in the transit network, but they've had slow speeds for many, many years, even despite previous interventions by both the DOT and MTA. So these corridors will be studied for both short-term improvements as well as longer-term capital investments. And we encourage you all to participate in that planning process. So we will be out in the field a lot talking to folks. In particular, though, wanted to focus on an event that we're having next week on Thursday. We're having a bus rider town hall in Central Brooklyn. This is the info. We can follow up more with how to register and attend, but very much hoping, to have as many voices coming to talk to us about these corridors as possible. And then lastly, I'll turn this over to Kate to talk a little bit about how we've been operationalizing the plan.
Yeah, so we have to put it all together, make sure that all of these commitments work and actually produce the results that we are confident they will. So we are expanding capacity to deliver and measure our progress. As you know, we collect a ton of data all the time, as does DOT, on bus service and operations, and we'll be dedicating additional resources to tracking performance on the commitments we've laid out in the plan and in this presentation. We're also working with DOT and the mayor's office to develop a public-facing website that will report on the progress of individual projects, and coordinate regularly with interagency meetings to, again, keep tracking that progress, resolve any blockades to moving it forward and tracking initiatives. There's a lot that's going to go into this, so that dashboard website will be brought online in the coming months. In the meantime, Nolan mentioned this at the top, but there is a refreshed website for the Fast Bus initiative with lots of great information about individual projects. Some of these projects have been ongoing, so there's a look back at some of the work that's already been done, and then other projects that'll be kicking off later this year or next year. And that's it. That's our presentation for you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was an awful lot of information, and we will take members' questions.
Can you just give the name of the website again?
Yeah.
We'll put it in the chat. Let me pull that up.
Chris?
Hey guys, it was a really good presentation, and I'm really pleased to see that Bay Parkway is getting attention over there. But with you have the B6 bus running, it does get a little congested and stuck along Avenue J from Coney Island. Well, let's start now from Ocean Parkway to Ocean Avenue. It dies. It's like it's going to a tango dance. But, not just the B6, but the B11. And that part of Midwood, in that area, it gets very bottlenecked too, because I know a lot of people say what's the use of taking the B6 when we can take the 82 SBS that moves even faster? And yes, in Kings Highway, it does get stuck a little, but it speeds up after it gets to Ocean Avenue and moves on. That is one of my main questions. The second question is we do need to watch a lot of these vehicles really strongly in all parts of Brooklyn, even down south, even downtown, either way. They still like to park in the bus stops with trucks. And everyone agree with me in this room will agree with me that it's trucks, it's cars, and they're thinking, oh, I'll be right back in a second. That second takes a whole 5 minutes, which I just think it's a bunch of weirdness and buckus, and I'm saying it that way because I don't want to swear. But it's just very upsetting me that the community doesn't want to get it, but I just hope DOT, can you please commit more strongly to make sure that these stops, street lanes, and everything are fully accessed for seniors and people with disabilities. Thank you. Anyone breathing? Anyone breathing in this? Like,
We're also thinking about butt kisses, sorry.
So I can take some of that. The Avenue J is definitely, it's one of the 50 priority corridors, so we will be advancing a project there during the mayor's first term, so before 2030. So stay tuned. We'll be sure to check in with you once we get that going.
thank you.
Okay, I wanted to ask a couple of things. On a busway such as Fordham Road that you're planning, will the businesses along the route still be able to get all their deliveries, or will that change to certain hours of the day only?
So on Fordham Road, right now we have what are called curbside bus lanes. So the bus lanes run along the side of the street next to the sidewalk. This actually prevents parking for most of the day. So we will actually be moving the bus lane one lane away from the curb to the offset bus lane position. Those bus lanes will primarily be in effect 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But in terms of the business loading and access, we have actually opened up a lot of new curb space by moving the bus lane away from the curb. And so that project will actually add quite a lot of loading and parking space for the businesses there.
Okay, thanks. And I've used the Flatbush Avenue pilot as an example, and I've asked this before, and I think I've gotten a positive response from DOT, but you're going to have a center running bus rapid transit, and you're going to have passengers moving from the center of the avenue to the curb to get away from it and to get to their destinations. And if there's a subway station, there'll be additional passengers on the curb, perhaps switching to the bus rapid transit. So will the pedestrian timers that are now in effect be adjusted to allow for additional pedestrians coming to and from the center of the avenue?
Yeah, so pedestrian circulation very much considered as part of the plan, and we will be, both proactively and also as the project gets implemented, adjusting signal timing to make sure that pedestrians have enough time to cross.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, Kalia?
Yes, I have a question. Is accessibility considered in that conversation with loading and unloading wheelchairs on? Because as you know, when the ramp deploys, sometimes if it's in the middle aisle, it's very difficult to board and deboard safely.
Yeah, so we did think a lot about accessibility and creating those spaces. All of the new bus boarding islands, as we call them, the stops and the stations will be ADA accessible. And we've definitely taken extra care to think about the width of the island as well as all of the furniture that's placed on there. So shelters, seating, to make sure that there is a clear path for all users there.
I would also add, Kalia, that with the center running, we have an expectation that our buses will always be able to platform, right? With it being a dedicated, separated right of way, that instance where there's somebody blocking the stop and we can't get to the curb, that should be alleviated through the design. So making it so that we can always curb our buses, always deploy the ramp, and always treat our customers with mobility aids with the dignity they deserve.
Aaron?
Yes, so, two quick things. One, I noticed you mentioned that you're gonna ensure that there's shelters and seats. By seats, do you mean actual seats, or do you mean those leaning things?
Good one.
So we would provide both, probably, depending on the location and the amount of space that we have. So, the shelters themselves have a bench in it. We can do the standalone benches. The leaning bars usually are in addition to those features. We actually do find that a lot of people prefer the leaning bars, especially if it's difficult to sit up or stand down or stand up. So those we really want to make sure that folks have a lot of different options for their comfortable ride.
When you talk about who uses the buses, and I notice you say women, as well as some other things, but with women, that also a lot of times means children, so making sure, strollers and, the ability to get to and from, so those platforms are at bus height? So we don't have to worry about the leaning buses anymore, is that correct? It would be at loading height?
Yeah, so they'll be much closer to the loading height. Essentially, yes, there will be much less kneeling involved because we're building in the middle. We can get it closer to the height of the bus.
And then to my other point about, women with children and also seniors with mobility issues, but I see, and I guess maybe depending where it is, I see a lot of diversity on buses beyond what was mentioned on certain routes. So one of the things that I think about is transferring connections. And for anyone who uses the bus, the worst thing is to get off the bus, you see the bus coming, and because of the lights and the placement. And so I want to know the level of thoughtfulness as to where those, transfer bus stops are, as well as communication between buses. So maybe that driver lingers to allow or not, I don't know, but that can be distressing in bad temperatures, weather conditions, and also late at night. So, bring that out there.
Sure. So writ large, operator training is not changing under this program. The protocols that are in place, that are state, federally mandated, all of that kind of scheduling stuff sort of remains in place. But we are working behind the scenes to improve dispatching and service delivery. But just like with the subways, the drivers are instructed to stick with their schedule and not hold for connections, because if they hold, then we end up with bus bunching, which I know this group is also, annoyed with. So it's a balance of making sure that we're keeping our regular service headways and intervals without bunching buses. But there are also, sensitivities behind the scenes in the scheduling exercises where we're working to connect with train or subway schedules to the extent practicable.
Okay, Marisol.
Hi, I just want to get back to the Fordham Road bus lane. You said that would open up a lot of loading and unloading opportunities for the businesses. Does that allow parking on those lanes?
Yes, both parking spaces and loading. So it would vary by each block and time of day.
Okay, because I know that there was several years back, which was one of the reasons why there was a lot of conflict when this came up. They didn't want the parking and the bus lanes and the congestion to coincide. And in the loading zones, I'm glad that they're there, and I'm glad that they're doing the hours, because that does have an impact. And when it was done on 161st Street, which is what I'm trying to visualize as to what you guys are doing, there was a lot of parking that was not really regulated. So there was a lot of congestion just getting into 161st Street courthouse and other facilities that were there. So I was just wondering how that worked out.
I mean, I think we're trying to provide some spaces back with this design. So, the previous design on Fordham had bus lanes at the curb. So now we've moved those over to offset lanes. So a lot of the curb space will be provided back for parking and for loading. I think the thing that we're trying to do is regulate it heavily so that there's a lot of turnover. So people aren't just staying there for a long period of time, so we can address those issues, which what you've basically said is what we heard from a lot of people too, and that's why we've made these changes.
And then the signage, I would imagine, is also going to be looked at heavily because a lot of people they rely on those signs to dictate where and how to travel. And that also means the curb signs on the streets and where you could turn and when you can't turn. Because otherwise there'll be a lot of people calling into the offices saying that they got a ticket when they shouldn't have gotten a ticket, or they didn't know where to turn, or they didn't, So there's a lot of little things. I'm glad you guys are looking at it. I know that the Bronx is, they're skeptical, but they're looking forward to what can happen on Fordham Road.
Okay, Sharon.
This is really impressive, and I'm sure you've done a lot of research, but you might, if you haven't, want to check the most incredible bus service I've ever encountered was in Aix-en-Provence in France, where every 5 to 7 minutes, in the middle of downtown, totally reliable, regulated, wonderful service. And you might want to consult and see if there might be some suggestions or ideas from them.
I think that's a great idea. We can look into it. I'd happily go to France, so.
Road trip, right?
Road trip.
Yes, Bert, go ahead.
Hi, I was interested in that listing of priorities that you were studying. It went off the screen pretty fast. I didn't see the mention of East and West 72nd Street, Manhattan. Has that been dropped, or perhaps because it's so stupid, or is it going to still be carried forward? Because West 72nd Street is mainly residential, and there is mainly double parking for trucks, which take up most of the lanes, and there's almost no space to get to the curb for all the apartments that are on that block. And I'm wondering, has that been dropped from your scheduling, or are you still planning to go ahead with it?
Go ahead, Nolan.
Well, I was gonna say at this time we don't have plans for bus lanes on 72nd Street. Are you referring to the bike lane?
Yeah, putting the bike lane in, but the bus, with the bus lane.
So right now there's no plans for the bus lane, as Nolan said, but we don't really have the right team on here to talk about the bike projects. These are folks that talk about the buses, so I don't think we can speak more to that right now.
Okay, when you think about it, just remember it's the residential area.
One of our members, Gene.
A lot of wheelchairs.
Our member Gene Haynes has a question that he put in the chat. Said he's seen new signals, a horizontal and vertical bar, giving buses priority. Will these be expanded? And also, will there be public education on these? People walk against the do not walk signs, see the light is red, and do not even know what the new signal is. Are there thoughts on public education on this? My thought is that New Yorkers are going to do what New Yorkers are going to do. But I would think that a public education campaign would be helpful for anything new.
Yeah, so we are planning on expanding. We call those Q jump signals, the ones with the white bars. We are planning on expanding those throughout the city. And each one is accompanied by a sign that says buses only signal. We have done some public education around it with social media posts, making other graphics, but heard that perhaps it needs a little bit more outreach and awareness for people to understand what it is.
I'll also say, whenever we do, sorry, Lisa.
I was going to say things on the street so people can see right there when they're there.
Yeah, I was just going to add that whenever we do like larger corridor upgrades to bus projects, if we're including queue jumps, we do a lot of educational outreach before a project is installed. If it's just queue jumps, I think we can do a little bit of better job talking to people about what it is beforehand. But usually when we have other elements that we're changing the streetscape a little bit more, we do a pretty robust educational outreach before things go in with the local community.
Thank you.
Okay, Deborah?
I thank you. Few issues I have when you talk about for the buses to board us in the center of the street. First of all, a lot of people with visual or who are visually blind and deaf have a lot of hard times getting across, getting safely onto the bus because you see they're not wide enough. Where you're putting us. Wheelchairs and walkers also have a problem because we have to fight with the old ladies with the shopping bags, and we understand about with the students with their bags and backpacks, but it's really not safe. And we also have been hit. Many of us have been hit or knocked into by the bicycles, which also all bicycles lanes should not be on roadways that way. It interferes with safety of disabilities. We accessorize has many of us almost have been hit or killed, including me, because the driver is trying to we're in the right spot, and the bikes are not following traffic signals and rules. But I will volunteer to test with you any type of boarding or street, and I do know people with a lot of different types of visual issues, not just legally blind, but also who are almost to the point of being legally blind, who have trouble getting on off those buses. I've also cars don't respect on the turn signal when it's my turn to cross. They've nearly hit me. And then I missed the bus because there goes the bus that I should have gotten. It is very, very frustrating because I'm going to say this. MTA, you listen. DOT, you very rarely listen to people with disabilities and accessibilities. I do miss Edmund Diallo because at least we had someone who was listening to us. You need to do a much better job in reaching out to people in the public. I'm not representing, but I am a member of my local community board. And when you come out to us, you don't give us the courtesy to hear us. You give us like lip service and you claim you're listening to us, and then you go back and still do what you really want to do. We know we're advisory, but we appreciate if you treat us better. Thank you. I got it.
All right.
Okay, thanks. Carl?
Thank you. With the priority corridors, the Bay Parkway and Cropsey Avenue, I have a question regarding Cropsey Avenue. Are they going to do the entire Cropsey Avenue from 7th Avenue all the way out to Coney Island, or only from Bay Parkway to towards Coney Island and nothing? Are they going to include the area from Bay Parkway going west towards Bay Ridge near the VA hospital? Because I think it would be a good idea if there's a service gap there. In other words, they really could use a bus from Bay Parkway heading out towards Bay Ridge, either a branch of the B82 or a branch of the B6. So I think that if they're going to do Cropsey Avenue, I think they need to do the whole Cropsey Avenue from Coney Island all the way to 7th Avenue near Bay Ridge. So I'm not really sure. I haven't looked at the plan there. So I just wanted to mention that for them to do the whole thing and maybe get another branch of either the B82 or the B6 going out towards Bay Ridge and Fort Hamilton, because there's like a service gap between 18th Avenue and Bay Parkway for local bus service over there.
Yeah, so the current plans right now are Cropsey Avenue just between Bay Parkway and essentially Bay 37th Street where the B82 runs. At this time, we don't have plans to extend it farther east.
Farther west, you mean, to Bay Ridge, right?
Right, that too. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's so maybe look into that.
Coney Island and not farther west down to Bay Ridge at the moment.
Yeah, the VA hospital. So maybe you could discuss that with the MTA, maybe, because there's a little service gap between 18th Avenue and Bay Parkway on Cropsey. It's only express buses there, I think.
Thanks, Carl. Charlton?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I want to know, will there be a draft plan for the Brooklyn bus redesign? Because people need time to comment, and a rushed final plan without community and elected officials' input, and especially nonprofit input, will hurt the community. We're hoping Kate Contuno can answer the question as to when the Brooklyn bus redesign will be released and whether it will be a draft plan. Thank you.
You know, Charlton, we've had this conversation a lot, and I've told you for years that once the plan comes out, there will be months of public engagement, and that commitment has not changed. It will not change. The entire process is laid out on our About Redesign website. It shows specifically how we are going to go through this process and what the public can expect from us at every stage of the game. So the commitment in the Fast Bus plan is to release the next Brooklyn Bus Network redesign set of proposals by the end of the year, after which my team will conduct months of public outreach throughout of Brooklyn and the associated communities in Queens and Manhattan that are also served by Brooklyn buses. This will be advertised across all MTA channels. We will have pop-ups at bus stops, which is our best activity to reach bus customers and hear what they have to say. We'll be at community boards. There'll be other levels of engagement. Our comment portals will be reactivated. And the report will be responsive to what we heard on the draft plan. I mean, that has always been the case. And that commitment hasn't changed.
Okay, so it will be a final plan or a draft plan. That's what we want clarification on.
It will be the next plan. And in every one of these, we have gone where the feedback has taken us. In Queens, we had to do a whole nother plan, and we did it because it was required. In the Bronx, we went from draft plan to proposed final to implementation. I can't tell you what the public is going to tell us on the next report. So we're going to do the outreach. We're going to hear what the people have to say, and we're going to take the initiative from there.
Okay, and another thing, for the Queens bus redesign, you know, the transfers we were promised, they were taken away in January.
They were not. The pilot remains in effect until the board takes action.
The board did take action during the fare increase in August.
They didn't change the transfer policy. It remains in place until a specific board action is taken to change that promotional transfer policy. It's
why are people getting overcharged when they're getting on the Q82 and then getting on the Q1?
I think this is a different
This
conversation.
is another, yes.
Right, but I'm saying, how
I
could we
noted
trust the
that. I was going to do
MTA
that.
when they can't even get the Queens bus redesign right? I'm sorry, Lisa, but that's the point. Sorry about that, but.
If you have a specific example, Charlton, you know how to reach me. Send it my way. We'll take a look.
Thank you so much. Stuart, I think, has a question.
Yeah, let me just quickly ask Kate. Kate, when one of, or more than one of these new fast buses is initiated, will the bus map that the MTA issues have these buses a special notification? I mean, they will look different on the map than the regular buses, I assume?
I think it's too soon to tell because, again, this is new, right? We don't know exactly what this rapid service is going to look like. It's a long range planning project. There are lots of variables. There are tons of different examples of what rapid service looks like across the globe. And our philosophy on building out SBS, building out bus priority projects is to build to suit the communities we're serving. And I think that remains one of our foundational principles, is to make sure that the service fits the street, the needs, the customers, and all of that shapes what the ultimate product will look like. And so I can't answer that question today, what we'll call it, how it will be denoted on the map, but we would, of course, update to make sure folks know what service is available.
All right, great.
Stuart.
Yeah.
Just one question. So, with the bus rapid transit, first project to, let's say, come online, do we have a time estimate for what that would be?
So, go ahead.
On Flatbush Avenue, we are committed to delivering it by 2030. The other 4 corridors, we will be advancing outreach and design for those corridors. Again, those 4 are, as Kate mentioned, a sort of longer term visioning process. They may require larger capital investments and other things that take more time to deliver. So that's the plan. So advancing those in the near future, but probably not seeing a full build out for some time on those.
Right, so Flatbush will sort of be the test. So how do we plan to evaluate success of this commitment before we embark on others? It seems that it's going to be phased, but, you know, we really don't have it here, and as you were saying, Kate, you know, that it's tailored to, you know, community needs and different patterns, and so what's the plan, and who's going to be responsible for evaluating this?
So Stuart, I would point you towards the report, which kind of digs into this, and I know you like the details, but all of us, like, that's the point of this joint commitment, is that we each have a piece of responsibility for making sure that bus service is functioning as designed, as is appropriate. And so I had mentioned that we'll be working to stand up a new website that'll have both project updates as well as some data and metrics. And I think what's unique about the commitment in the Fast Bus Plan is to, you know, really continue with that post-implementation evaluation and revisit projects if the outcomes are not what we expected. And so this report gives us that foundation and that authority to go back, similar to what we're doing on Fordham right now. We had a plan a few years ago. We did something simpler with restriping the curbside lanes, with a commitment to come back and do something different if it didn't work. And that's exactly where we are today. So I think that is sort of the push and pull of how we can expect to evaluate the future forward projects, and making sure that we're living up to those commitments of, you know, up to 20% speed and savings, 6-minute savings on your entire trip. You know, those different points of information that were in the report.
Okay, thank you.
Michael?
The Flatbush Avenue bus plan is going to be finished in 2030, but I live on, I live on 8th and Union in Park Slope, and it's happening. When is that chunk going to get done?
So that phase will be finished by the end of this year, from Grand Army Plaza up to Livingston Street. So I should give it more. It will be done by the end of summer, essentially end of September.
Thanks.
And these bus rapid routes, they're not all going to be central like the Flatbush one. They're going to be somewhat closer to curbs on other routes, correct? They're not all central running. They'll have different alignments.
I think like Kate said before, you know, we're still kind of planning out each of them, and they'll be tailored specifically to the different community needs. You know, I think we kind of consider them as being, you know, world-class bus service. So everything's on the table in terms of the toolkit. And you know, we want to also hear from the community on what's going to be best. So kind of to be determined, but it will be, you know, I don't want to say revolutionary, but it's going to be a big deal.
All right, thank you. Anyone else before we move on? Thank you very much for your presentation and your responses to our questions. We look forward to the next steps.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Okay, I think we're ready for old business. Aaron?
Two things. One of the issues that I'm noticing is, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second. Oh, I know what it is.
The train was delayed.
When I take my mother to some of her medical appointments and we go to NYU, and sometimes when we're leaving, it's easier to just get the bus right up front on First Avenue. And there is taxis or cars that want to wait there, and I'm always like arguing with them, and they're blocking, and we've missed buses because they have been there. And when I've asked some of the people who work at NYU, they're like, they don't want to get involved. And so what can be done?
The taxis and car services are in the bus stop?
Right at the bus stop, and I've taken photos of them. I can send them to you. And I've even like said to a guy, he's like, he's waiting for someone. I'm like, I'm waiting for the bus. And there is that inside curve that
driveway, right?
come into, so that's problematic. And then at Grand Central, when you come out crossing over Pershing, the taxi stand, it gets worse, and it becomes harder and harder. And I was looking at some footage from before One Vanderbilt, I guess also before COVID, it wasn't like that. So no one's, I know that's probably more DOT, but no one's saying anything. So that's not necessarily a bus stop, but that's impeding safe access and.
Like a M42 bus stop, that I know.
Well, the bus stop is before, no, the bus stop is closer to Lex, well, in between Lex and then after, so, yeah.
They moved it up.
Yeah,
At Pershing Square on 42nd Street.
yeah, yeah.
I've never found a taxi there. I always.
Right, but because they're blocking me trying to cross the street, so.
The M42 doesn't have ACE cameras yet either, I don't believe.
That would be a good place for
That
them.
would be a great place.
But,
Yes.
you know, I don't wanna, walk around New York City arguing about
No, nor should you.
mobility.
Karen, I use NYU Hospital a lot, and I know that bus stop. I would do a 311 complaint every time.
Yeah.
And that kind of works if you do it a
I
lot.
keep doing
And
it.
take pictures.
Take pictures.
Yeah, I do have photos I need
Do
to
the
send
app,
that's in behind.
And eventually, you'll find a traffic cop there.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just add something with Karen, because I have put this in already, and I did send this in actually the beginning of the year, because those yellow taxis also block the accessorize to come when people want to get off.
That's true.
So lately, I have to do the address across the street if I'm going homebound. So this, I have already warned this to you, and when Edmund was the DOT, I brought it up to him. So as right now, it feels like it's still in deaf ears. And I think we need to have both parties get their attention, because there are too many yellow taxis, and it's causing traffic congestion at 42nd, and even the M42 cannot even complete stop.
Yeah, I'm gonna see when the ACE cameras are coming to that route.
Yes, thank you.
I'm gonna be taking photos.
Sharon?
Yes, please.
For people going up Madison Avenue, there are 4 buses, you know, that 1, 2, and 3, M1, 2, 3. And half of the stops are at one end of the block, and half are at the other. So you have to wait in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you can't, a lot of people with low vision like me, you can't see what number is coming. And so we end up running. And someone the other day asked me, would I please ask what might be able to be done about that? Could there be a neutral stop in the middle or something?
There's also express buses. The Q32 stops on Madison Avenue.
The Q30, I mean, I can take all of them, but most people just want either the 1 or 2, and then the 3 or 4 are at this end of the block.
That's the same issue on Third Avenue. I've seen that.
Yeah.
You have to run between these.
And
Second Avenue.
Yeah?
And if it was, it's very hard to read those signs on the top.
The only thing that helps is if it's a select bus versus a local bus, the color in the distance can give that away, but that's not everybody's issue.
But, you know, maybe it's a disability thing if you have low vision, because you can't.
And it's been brought up.
I've seen the stops are far apart on some of those. Yep.
And we wait right in the middle, I'm like.
Yeah.
And run.
With the hope that you'll be in the right place.
Andrew, I have old business.
Sorry?
Old business.
She has old business.
Oh, okay.
And I was gonna.
For you?
No, go ahead.
Okay. This is a old safety issue that keeps coming up as a mother to a former high school student. Subway surfing. We can't continue, we have to go back to the drawing board about this conversation. As a parent, I don't know what the solution is, actually. It's heart-wrenching. I know that we have a relationship with the Department of Education, because of Omni and the student fairs, and we have a new student, Omni pilot program that's going on, but we need to get back to having intense conversations with DOE. We need to get into the schools. I'm sorry, this is, it's, whatever is happening is not working. You know, I know the press likes to highlight one success story. What about the rest? Not enough. It's dangerous, it's serious.
Yeah. The recent issue with Broad Channel was horrifying.
What happened? What?
The recent subway surfing incident at Broad Channel, just horrifying.
It's horrifying.
I agree.
We have asked several times, but it would be.
I don't know what the answer is as a parent. You know, I don't know what the answer is because, you know, I know NYPD likes to say, you know, we're gonna bring it to the parents, we wanna see what your child, want you to see what your child is doing, but let me tell you something. You could put a backpack on that kid, put the lunch in the bag, swipe their drop them out at school,
Yep.
and next thing you know, they're playing basketball in the park.
Wait, you might
Oh,
might as
I'm
well
sorry,
just
am I dyslexic?
You know,
But, you know, it happens, right? So the obvious answer is not, it's always the parents' fault. You know what I mean? We need to do something, and there are parents in the community that want to come to MTA and have this conversation about what the solutions are. And it's just so intense and it's so scary.
maybe we want to be on record, writing to council and to the mayor, about the education component.
Mm-hmm.
You know, putting the chancellor on notice, charter schools,
Our school's
need their-
definitely open.
need their charters renewed.
Mhm.
There needs to be an emphasis on this. Certainly, the police department has been doing a lot of PR, different techniques they're using to monitor with drones.
Drones,
and-
yeah.
the camera footage was
amazing. Right.
Yeah.
And
the technology.
Yeah.
So they need to stop them before they get up
Right.
there.
There's different prongs here, so the education component, the enforcement component. But, you know, in this recent case with the drones, they're saying that they found keys on the youth,
Yes.
to open
By
train doors. So,
Oh, yeah.
so certainly, you know, we heard from, you know, the,
Chantel?
right,
Yeah, and, oh,
Police.
and Chief Kemper.
Right, that they're going to, consider taking different steps to lock cabs or modify
Yep.
different. So I think we need to maybe revisit that.
I think that's just.
But it's a different, they're different prongs, like we've written letters before, different
We have.
spheres, I think. Important issue. Attention. And I think the timing is important because, you know, back to school,
Yeah.
into the summer,
Yep.
I think,
And then I think, if you think about every time there's a budget crisis and they talk about cutting certain programs that can engage students in different ways, whether it be the arts, sports, other things, because a lot of
Programs are limited too.
Right, a
There's
lot of
only
these
a
kids,
certain amount of students that get accepted.
yes.
So we have, our member Jean, who was able to join us for a while today, had put together, a great,
Yeah.
group of ideas and plans.
Yeah.
That we have planned to talk to the MTA about. I think that now would be a good time, I think, have the
To share it.
capacity to do that.
Yeah.
They were out of capacity for a little bit of time, but this is probably a good time to, yeah.
Yep.
We'll reach out to them and,
I think we would, you know, 17, as he puts it, out-of-the-box ideas to combat subway surfing. I think we'll circulate it around, and if anyone has any thoughts or
Yeah.
additions,
Good.
we'd be happy to hear them. But I think it's a really comprehensive, thoughtful list already of actions that are some very easy to do and feasible, and some that would take a little more effort, but are all worth considering. So I think putting some effort behind that would be really useful.
But you're gonna put that together and send it to the members?
Yeah, we still need to go through a couple edits, with what we have, but, we'll, as soon as Jean's comfortable with it, we'll send it around.
Okay, great. Yes.
I was thinking of something, you know. I would, you know, what they have, for tires, put it on top of the train. So as soon as they step on it, ouch, and they're not gonna stay there.
Oh.
I mean, it sounds crazy,
oh, there's
but, you know, you gotta,
Spikes.
so in other words, spikes or something where,
I've asked them to put sensors so that
oh, no,
conductors.
no.
Wait, okay, I don't want, there are 17 good ideas that incorporate some of these, so let's not do one off. But we'll get that to you all, and then you can, right, you can see what's in there and help to finesse it further, how's that?
So, I had a question before about old business. I don't think we should leave the discussion of today's presentation. Again, this is going to be a significant capital investment, certainly in the city side with the road reshaping and, all of the enhancements with islands and tree planting
The new bus stop.
and bus stops. But again, we have to, I think, be on record as, when I was asking the question about how are we gonna measure the effectiveness, what are we willing to live with in terms of an improvement? You know what I'm saying? Improving at 6 minutes, is that really?
Is that worth this
That's it.
capital investment?
That,
Yeah.
maybe not. Maybe there are other things. You know, Flatbush Avenue is always going to be the approach, bridges, business corridor, it's served by public transportation. May not be the best street for all of the northbound or westbound buses. Maybe it's premature because the redesign plan hasn't been finalized. There are other parallel routes that might be able to achieve faster speeds, but I think we need to have a discussion as a group about what speeds are we looking to achieve.
Well, I think it's different, I think it's not just speed. I think, why don't we do this, why don't we send around the plan, and you guys can take a look at it. 14th Street is the only true example of anything we have to look at, and the changes on 14th Street yielded great results, very dramatic results. These are different, so we have an apple, and we're gonna be looking at kumquats, so that we'll, have some.
That's the fruit you had to pick,
Yeah.
kumquats?
Yeah, everybody says oranges, right? So, aren't kumquats in the apple family? So,
Yeah.
there you go.
I thought you said kapla.
So,
Kumquats and tangerines.
yeah, so we'll have, the plan I think will provide, because it's a multi-tiered plan, and that's not just about speed. And I think Flatbush Avenue has been in conversation for years that are part of what's driven it to be here, for a variety of different reasons. That I know Brian and Kara have actually studied and Henry a lot more than I have.
Right, they're doing traffic enhancements on the other end of the circle there to improve the flow of traffic.
Yeah, near Grand Army Club.
Yeah, Grand Army Club, right. So I just think we need to be on record as to what we want out of this project.
I will say the overarching goal of improving speeds 20% on 50 routes is going to be, it's an ambitious goal, and
Very.
holding them to that is, I think, a very good start, but, I think we can think thoughtfully about other things that we're looking for as well.
New business for the last word?
Yes.
I just have new business because I know we have to end. Happy Disability Pride Month 8836. That's my new business.
That's your new business. Anyone else with new business?
I have some.
Go ahead.
Sorry, really quickly. I was in the Bronx the other day, and I noticed some issues, on the BX22 and the BX21 from White Plains and Morris Park, that the M21 is really, really slow, and, bus operator, morale might not be the nicest. Hint, hint, I'm an honorary Bronxite, so, weekends, I found that the drivers, early mornings don't really want to pick up wheelchairs. At 180th on the 205, the elevators are always dirty in the bathroom.
The elevators are always what?
Dirty.
Dirty.
And the bathrooms.
Let's just say dirty.
Can you send us these?
Yes, I just want to put it on.
Sure.
Yeah, do you always keep bus numbers, like if a bus passes
Of course.
time, everything that, yeah.
This native Brookside, an honorary Bronxite? Are you kidding?
Because that does get, they
And that
can.
bus operator that was not appropriate, you have there,
Oh, yeah.
the bus they're on and everything?
Yeah, you picked the wrong one. You picked me. I'll park my scooter in front of the bus.
Okay.
I believe it.
All right, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
She said no. Sorry, I overran her.
I heard her, yes. Thank you all.
Happy Disability Pride Month, 8836.
We have more.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
All right. Have a work.